now we will go into the ultimate of ultimates. What are our top 5 video games of all time? Okay? And go ahead. What are you going to say, Jordan?
It's impossible.
Yeah,
it's impossible.
super hard.
It's impossible.
Okay. There's a couple criteria here. One is that you could not select a collection, meaning like Mario All-Stars, or I think there was a Zelda collection or a Mega Man collection.
I'll take my Warcraft
Chief
battle
collection.
chest off my list.
So you can't select a collection. That was one of the requirements that we had. And I think first what we'll do is we'll kind of go around the table and talk about what was the criteria, because again, this was not easy. I think generally one of my number 5 is still up in the air. When you guys get when we get to me, I will have made the decision. It's like when you order food. Go ahead and all you guys order, and then I'll figure it out. All right. So Mike, do you want me? I'll start with Chuck. He's the guest. Let's start with Chuck. Chuck, what was your criteria for developing your top 5?
It really just came down to where I could think about having fun, where it was like, I just got to play this game more and more. I get home and looking forward to playing that game. So, it's a nostalgia a bit.
Yeah.
Some of my games may not be like the technically best games out there, but it's what I had the most fun with. That's what I really had to argue with. In my head, I can say, people say this is great, people say that is great, but it's really what I thought I had the most fun playing.
Right.
I have to say, I'm most excited to hear what Chuck... Okay, because we've known Chuck like 15
Yeah,
years.
probably.
So, I mean, I've known Chuck as long as I've known David, so whatever we figured out last time. But when we wanted to play a new video game, we went to Chuck's house.
That's right.
Because he had every single
still
new
does.
video game,
Yeah, we do.
every single system. It was just the best place. I mean, me and David would just sit on his couch. Chuck wouldn't even be home, and his mom would his mom would walk in and be like, "Where's?" And she would call Chuck. She'd call him Charles. Where's Charles? I don't know.
I don't know. We're
playing
because
grab me a cream soda. I don't know where he is,
Right.
but we're knees deep into Mario Galaxy, and we don't have time for this. And so we loved Chuck's house. It was the best. It had the best food, the
Exactly.
best drinks, and the best video games. So it was always awesome. So I'm excited to hear what your top 5
This
is.
was a hard one. It's like a hard one to join in on. I mean,
It's like Dave said it. It's
I
like
didn't have a lot of time. I've been stressing over
It's like
this.
choosing children. It's
It
like-
really is.
it
That's
is.
like because I'm like, but I still love you, number 6, but you didn't make it. But okay, so that was kind of, you had the nostalgia feel. Kind of what was your criteria, Jordan?
For me, it was just I've been playing the same games for years and years and years. I play the retro games and stuff.
Yeah.
So I don't really have any of the new stuff to influence my decisions. It's just the games that I keep playing over and over and over again. So for me, that's what it was. Is what do I want to play again and again
And again and again and
I
again.
never get tired of these games. So
Right.
That was my criteria.
Okay, Gerald.
Mine's almost a mix of both. Like every game on my list, if someone's like, "Hey, would you play this right now?" Totally. Every single game on my list, I would play right now, no matter how old it is. And same thing with the nostalgia thing. A lot of my games aren't maybe the best rated games of all time. One is definitely, but the other ones are just like I just remember fond memories of playing
Right.
these games, so that influences a lot of decisions I made.
Now, don't get me wrong, but none of my games are like low-rated games.
Yeah, I don't think any of mine are either. But still, like if I could think back to the story or memories playing these games,
Fatal Frame is not your number 1. Just kidding.
But yeah, they're all just excellent games.
One of my games might be actually my number 1 game might be low rated. I don't know.
David?
I love it though. I don't care.
Doesn't
David, what
matter.
about you?
Okay, so mine is I understand what you're saying about would I play it right now, but there are games, and there's a couple games I think on here that I would probably not want to play again, because the experience that I had playing it for the first time and finishing it is the experience I want to have forever. So it's but most of them are.
Like you won't get surprised again by like twists or story turns and all that
Right,
kind of
and
stuff. That
that's
makes sense.
right. And the other thing too is asking me now what my 5 favorite games are completely and utterly different than if you would have asked me even 5, maybe even 10 or even 15 years ago, just because what I enjoy in gaming now is my tastes are completely different. Like I'll go and play a game that I know I would have loved as 12-year-old David, and I don't enjoy it anymore. It's just monotonous and kind of boring. But we'll get into that. So
That speaks about you.
I don't know. You got to keep your inner youth alive. I love everything I played as a
no, I
12-year-old.
still enjoy it. But it has more of that nostalgia feel to it than what I would enjoy now. It doesn't mean it's not. I wouldn't enjoy it, quote unquote. I'm going to use quotes, and no one. See, we have to make visual jokes. Like, isn't that shirt funny?
I know.
So people on
Yeah,
the,
look at this.
yeah, so people on the podcast will be forced to go to YouTube. No, I'm just kidding.
Yeah, for the games I had that I absolutely loved, but it's not the ones I play over and over again because I already did it. I didn't include them on the list.
Okay. All right. So now we will start. And since
Just same order.
No. We're gonna move it. We're gonna mix around. Okay.
First,
First,
likes to mix it up.
yeah, I
You
like
know
to mix it
David,
up. Come on. All right. Since Jordan's staring at his phone, we'll start with Jordan.
Oh, I got
Jordan.
the list. I got
All
the
right,
list.
Jordan. What is your number 5 favorite video game of all time?
If you look at my list, number 5 is blank, but I just
Okay.
I do know what it is. It has to be Mario 64.
Okay.
Oh, wow.
Excellent
That
choice.
almost made my cut. There.
Mario 64 was just it was my first 64 game. Actually,
It came with the system, right?
Some of them
no,
did.
it didn't, because they were sold out. So we actually got the system with Wave Race, I believe.
Oh, like the
Wave
jet
Race
ski.
64.
Yeah, Wave Race 64.
Okay.
And then we had to wait for Mario 64. But my brother loved Wave Race, but I just love Mario was the great. It brought in obviously the third dimension, but just overall, just the dimension of it, playing the levels over and over again with different goals, different unique characters that would come in. You'd race the Koopa or the big bombs.
Red
or
coins.
Penguin.
Red coin. Yeah, there was just
Jump in that painting.
Yeah, right. Yeah, and just like finding new, and there were secrets, and then like if you got all the stars, you got Yoshi and the caps. Do you guys remember the first
Yeah,
time you
yeah.
got the flying
Yeah,
cap?
the
Like
one
a
with-
triple jump. That was
Oh,
new, you know?
yeah,
Flips.
wall kicking and stuff. I don't think you did that before. It was
a lot of
just,
things you didn't do
It
before
was
then, yeah.
amazing.
Yeah.
It was just it was a change of the way to look at video games. We
Right.
didn't have that 3D feel before. Everything was 2-dimensional, and it really brought you into a game. There were just so many awesome variables. It has to make the list. I have so many awesome. I have 25 games on my list, and I had an area, but I was like, I can't not have Mario 64 on the list
Right.
because it's just I would play it right now. I would stop this pod. I would just knock my mic down over and go play
outta
if
here.
it was an option.
How much
It's
time
a
did you
great
spend pulling his face and stuff before you played the actual?
Oh yeah, tons of
Right?
time.
I remember that,
And
yeah.
just different secrets. It was such a great game. It was so much fun.
I think that's one of the few games that I've had that experience of like it doesn't make sense. You know what I mean? Like meaning it was so revolutionary. Like because now games come out, and I'm like, oh, that looks really beautiful, and like the mechanics look really cool. But that game, there's a couple times when I saw like an arcade game that I played in an arcade at someone's house. That moment of like, holy moly! And then Mario 64, and then there's a couple other games that I had that moment. But Mario 64 is definitely there.
Yeah, it was just so.
Yeah, it was like one of the only 3 64 games for like the first year.
Yep.
Exactly.
Yeah, it was like Wave Race, Mario, and Pilot Wings.
Pilot Wings. Oh, that game sucked.
I like Pilot Wings.
That's pretty confident of them. They're like, yeah, that's
And
all we need.
I mean, and that's considered one of the greatest systems with some of the greatest games.
Yep.
And that was like one of the only ones for the first year of that thing.
But yeah, but you could tell by even, the moment anyone looked at it, they just had to have
Mm-hmm.
that system. 64 was one of the greatest for our generation. I'm sorry, David.
I played it enough. I just didn't own one.
I know.
And that's actually one thing I wanted. We'll talk about later. But yeah, I didn't own one. So
But yeah, it was great. I'm
Okay.
sorry you missed that.
It was so good.
It was amazing.
It was so good.
All right.
Every game was just revolutionary, and that was the first one, and I loved it.
okay, now we'll move on to Chuck. Chuck McGuck, what is your number 5? Got the
So,
list. All right. Here we
Yeah,
go.
I got the list.
Oh, yours is printed out.
It seems really long. I don't understand how there's only 5 on there.
I had to write some notes and everything about it.
All right. What is your number?
So it's Mario Kart Wii.
Okay.
Nice, nice.
You know,
Interesting.
I wanted to go with the Mario Kart. That's my favorite one. I will
Really?
beat anyone in it. I have no doubt about that.
I have lost so many games, competitive games to you.
Chuck
It's-
is
I mean,
really good at
It
video
introduced
games.
motorcycles, which is like my favorite thing in a Mario Kart
Yeah.
game. It introduced online play, so I could see how I was against other people.
because you beat all of us.
The
There was no
comfort-
competition anymore.
Yeah, it's rare. It's
gotta
hard to
step it
find
up.
competition for me.
Yeah, exactly.
The comfort of the Wiimote with it, being able to actually sit back and spread my arms while I'm playing, like
Yeah.
all that stuff really affected it. The flipping the thing to do flips. I mean, it's an all-time great. You can pick it up right now, and we can all 4 play.
Yeah.
It's a party starter sometimes. It was.
Yeah, it was fun. Did you play with the wheel or did you just rock the Wiimote?
I mean, I played with the wheel sometimes, but
you preferred just the,
Oh,
the
yeah.
remote. Okay.
The wheel was cheap. Anyway.
Oh, it
I mean,
was.
it
I
was
mean-
just putting the remote in a thing that you held and turned. It wasn't like
Dude,
it
it's-
didn't feel like a real wheel.
I know, but did because I didn't play. I'll be honest, I didn't play a lot of the Mario Kart Wii. My background was the one on Super Nintendo. So
Right.
I think it was called Super Mario Kart, or maybe it was just called Mario
I'm
Kart.
sure it was called Super. Everything was.
yeah, it was
Yeah.
Super Mario Kart.
So did some of the characters? Because I remember everyone wanted to be Toad, and no one wanted to be somebody else. Because like, did they have like little unique
Oh, they
differences
all-
between the two?
well,
of them?
there's like a small, a medium, and a large, pretty
Okay.
much. So there's 3 different types. There wasn't quite like a Toad. Toad was the one to be always.
Yeah,
And
Toad's
Koopa,
the best.
The
Koopa
2
was-
small
I
ones,
like
they were the
Koopa.
ones to be in the Super Nintendo one. And it was hard to choose between all the Mario Karts. That's just the one
Rainbow
I
Road,
had the
man.
most fun. You know, when it went to that really high def, you know, it looked great.
Yeah.
I see. I love the Mario Kart 64 one. It almost made my list, but it didn't make it.
Is that Double Dash or was that
Double
the
Dash.
GameCube?
No, that's
that's
GameCube.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
No, the regular one where like the multiplayer was so much fun with the balloons on the back
yeah,
and you
yeah.
guys would and you
The battle.
the blocks and stuff and the donut level. And I loved the Nintendo 64 one, but not enough to make top 5.
All right, Gerald, what was your number 5?
All right. This game came out in 1998 for the PC
Okay.
from Blizzard. StarCraft Brood War.
Okay, so that's
That's the expansion to StarCraft.
but that's a own separate game.
Well, it's an expansion, to the
expansion
first
to
one.
it.
Yeah,
so-
but I played Brood War hours on hours on hours when I should be sleeping because I was in school. But I just remember playing online on Battle.net. I remember we had Net Zero, the free internet, and like the bar would be at the top because it's always stayed on top of the game.
Yeah.
And you'd accidentally click it and it would like minimize your game,
Screw
or
it.
You'd be playing online, someone pick up the phone, disconnect.
Mom, don't pick up the phone.
But just that game, I mean, I played RTS before, like Red Alert and stuff like that. But that was
Yeah.
the first game. It was more 3D, and it was just the story was excellent. It's just love
Now-
the first Blizzard game that just took me into that.
In that game, what faction did you play as mostly?
Protoss all the way.
Okay, because it's Protoss, human, and then Zerg.
Terran.
Whatever. Terran, yes. I played a lot of StarCraft, so yeah, definitely a good game. Were you more of an online guy, or did you?
Yeah, definitely.
Okay,
I mean,
so-
I still played the campaigns and the single player stuff, but I played online a lot.
I just
A
remember
lot.
Blizzard's all their cutscenes were just like amazing.
That's where it started with StarCraft, was the really amazing cutscenes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right.
But yeah.
I bought StarCraft 2 like a couple of years back when it came out, and I never played StarCraft 1, but I loved Warcraft. But and
StarCraft,
I was like,
yeah.
I don't know. I just loved Warcraft more.
Yeah, I play it now, like StarCraft 2 and the expansions that have come out, and like I'll play the campaigns, but online I just get crushed. Like it is not
Yeah.
fun.
Well, watching like the videos, kind of the same thing with the competition speedruns. Like you have to map everything to the keyboard. Like
There's
it's a
very
it's-
specific builds, and
Yeah, and
if
it's
you miss
about
a
timing.
second,
Yeah,
it's
it's
just
all about
you're
timing.
over.
Take it all too seriously. That's why I like the lower level of the entry level.
If you're making thousands of dollars doing it, you
no,
know,
if you're
They
making
still
money,
play
you need to
Brood
be
War.
good.
hundreds of thousands.
They
soon as
still
we-
play Brood War in South Korea and stuff in competitions to
Yeah.
this day.
in South Korea.
Oh, in Korea they get crazy over StarCraft.
Yeah.
All right.
David, what's your number 5?
Okay.
You just wrote it down.
Yeah.
I just wrote it down.
Oh man.
My number 5 is CounterStrike 1.6 for the PC. Came out in 1999. Well, Half-Life episode. Well,
Yeah.
But not Half-Life. I mean, I like Half-Life the game, but
that is why I was always confused between what the difference between Half-Life and
it was just
Counter-Strike.
it was essentially originally I think a mod, and
mod.
then Valve came in and like said, "Wow, this is amazing," and actually licensed it or not licensed. I don't know if they helped publish it and
Yeah.
work on it.
They paid them guys that made it, is what happened.
Yeah, exactly. I played that game. That game I've probably played more overall hours wise than any other game. Any game, probably multiple games combined. Probably you could take all these games on my list on the next 4, add them up, and I've probably still played more Counter-Strike. We used to play so much. When I think of a LAN party, I think of
Counter-Strike.
Counter-Strike. Now, I wasn't very good at it, I'll be honest. I played with Chuck again, so like
Damn Chuck.
but my favorite thing about that game was once you died, you would follow another player.
I hated that.
No, I loved it because we would actually make phone calls. I think like we would be in different rooms and then we would be on the phone, like old school phone, like cord, like holding it like this,
like
playing,
that,
and then see now for the video it makes sense. We can actually show people. You have the phone tucked against
Yeah, in your-
taco
in your
neck,
shoulder,
taco
your-
neck style, and we would tell each other, okay, he's coming around the corner. Like so, there was actually like cheating involved with talking to each other on the phone, which was so cool. I mean, games don't do that anymore, but and then it got too carried away. Then they came out with a bunch of mod like cheats and stuff like that, where you could like if someone would come right behind the wall and headshot. And
Oh,
then
the
it was,
auto headshots.
Yeah.
An aimbot, yeah.
yeah, and then they eventually came to get rid of that. But that's when I started. Oh, it's still there.
Oh yeah.
The global offensive is excellent.
But the best thing about it, when that all came out, like if you would get killed, like legitimately, you'd be like, oh, clearly they have an aimbot. I'm not terrible at the game. It's them cheating.
Hacks.
Yeah, exactly. But yeah, DE Dust, Aztec, Office, all of those were great. So that's my number 5, and that was chosen like literally right when I said it.
I remember my friends and I, we didn't have good enough PCs to play Counter-Strike, but we'd go to one of those grungy LAN places where you pay
Internet
like
cafe?
like $1 an hour. And they smell like BO and they're just gross.
The keyboards are nasty.
Yeah, and you go there and you just play for like 4 hours after school or something like that. Oh, it's
All right.
great.
I
Well, now
hated
we'll-
that game. Just so y'all know, I think I've gone over it. I die immediately, and I watch other people play, and it sucks.
Maybe you should be better at that game.
Yeah,
Try sucking
I
less. That's the
cared.
saying.
Exactly.
I just never cared. To
Yeah,
get
I wasn't
better.
very good at it either, but I enjoyed it.
I didn't like
nonetheless.
first-person shooters, period, because of that until Halo.
Okay.
'Cause, yeah.